Hey everybody, it's Maddog. Sunday morning coming down. It's Sunday, February 2, 2026. I know it's not the second, it's the first. It was early and in the morning. What's a fella expect? You'll be okay. Besides, there's lots of more fun things to watch here, so keep watching. And I'm getting some prep work going before heading to Mass. Like my Washington football team or whoever they are, Commanders, apron. Remember, I didn't pick this out. Someone else picked it out for me. Good color. Not so cool on the insignia, but I'll take the apron because it's very nice. Anyway, doing some prep this morning. There's a couple things I want to accomplish today because it's going to set me up for success next week. I managed to cook last weekend quite a bit. Made things that made quite a bit. Coasted through the week, which was a-okay with me because there's really some times and things got busy. Mrs. Maddog was very busy, and it was easy to have leftovers and things that could kind of be converted into other things very easily, and it made for a week of really low effort cooking, if any cooking at all. Not a bad thing. I enjoyed doing this a whole lot, but I enjoy doing it for fun, and when it's not fun, I don't do it. That's why I have a lot of respect for those men and women back there that you don't see in the fancy restaurants or the sports bar or just about anywhere, because they're working because it's their job. And I'm sure there's days they don't want to cook either, just because there's days I don't really want to go to work either. But they do, and gotta have a lot of respect for those folks. They're the ones that make your dining experience fun, so make sure you thank one next time you see it. Anyway, today I'm prepping out some pheasant for soup tomorrow. We've got the Sous Vide machine over here warming up. I'm going to bring that up to about 140 degrees. Now, some of you might be freaking out by that, but there's actually a lot of science behind these things. And if you can cook at a lower temperature if you cook longer. Obviously, the point of cooking like chicken or poultry is to get it up at, like breast or breast meat, is to at least 165 degrees. That's the recommended thing from the USDA, because that's the easiest, because once you get it there, it's done. Now, on the other hand, if you've got longer time, you can take it to a lower temperature and it'll still be done. It just takes longer to get the heat into the meat to neutralize the bacteria that are there. And that's the whole reason why you do it. You're neutralizing bacteria. For soup week this week at work, I didn't do it last week. I'm going to do it this week. Remember what I said about not wanting to cook last week? Full circle. So freeing some pheasants out of the fridge, out of the freezer actually. And here's one now. I don't usually get these things in whole form, but this is. And I also have some really nice breast meat here. Pheasant hunting is a big deal in South Dakota. It goes back a long ways. Ironically, the ringneck pheasant, the Chinese ringneck pheasant, is not native to the state. It was brought in. It thrives here. It's gone bananas. And when I was a kid, pheasant hunting meant state pheasant season. It was open for maybe 2.5 months, and that was it. And it was mostly things you had to know people on farms or have relatives or have good friends. There weren't lodges, there wasn't paid hunting, and we lived out in western South Dakota and didn't get to go a lot, but I treasured the times I got to go with my grandma and grandpa, who are originally from the eastern part of the state, up in Kingsbury County. And it was a real joy to go up, because those were like Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's all wrapped into one. And my grandma came from a super fun family. They're still super fun. I miss them dearly because I don't see them hardly at all. But great bunch of people and great memories from those days. But you'd generally have a couple of birds a year, and my grandpa would bring them home frozen into half-gallon milk cartons with the heads sticking out. She had to do that because if you got stopped by a game warden, you had to be able to prove that those pheasants were males, and that's one way you do it. A little tip for all you city slicker kids. So my grandma would take them and fry them like my dad says. She'd fry them like a chicken and then get a kind of a crispy coating on it. It was just really flour, salt, and pepper, the holy trinity of, Midwestern cooking. And fry them and then finish them in the oven and make gravy out of the pan drippings. And it was phenomenal. It was. Nowadays, this is big business. Yes, there are still native birds in South Dakota. My father-in-law, God bless his soul, used to make sure that he had habitat around the farm year long that would house those birds. Ray took care of those birds as well as he took care of us. And by taking care of those birds, he was taking care of us. A lot of great memories there too. But anyhow, nowadays, big lodges, big money. You go to Africa to hunt lions, and don't get all at me on that, but you go certain places to do certain things, and if this is your sport, this is what you do. Like I said, you go to Africa to go on safari, you come to South Dakota to hunt pheasants, because this is where it's at. This is the best pheasant hunting in the world. And believe me, we figured out how to make money on it. There are people that make a lot of money on it with hunting lodges. You roll into Pierre from about September to, I don't know, until the weather gets crappy. You're going to see a lot of private aircraft out on the tarmac. And you may even see some up in the likes of Oneida, Gettysburg, basically wherever is just big enough to land a Gulfstream or a Learjet on. And Cessna Citation, maybe a King Air for the cheap guys. That's where it's at. A lot of money. And those lodges have permission to shoot a lot of birds. But the kicker is they have to supply a lot of birds, and that means you've got to buy them. And you've got to buy them from people who raise them. So let's look at this. You got a lot of people coming in to spend a lot of money to shoot these things, and you got a lot of people spending a lot of money to make sure there are things to shoot. This is a win-win-win. I hate to tell you folks, but this is a good deal, and we're making bank on it. Now, where that comes down to me, who does not have a Gulfstream, cannot afford to go to the lodges, and the family situation has changed dramatically in the last several years. Key emphasis on drama. I've got friends who guide, and a lot of those guys that fly in, some of them want the birds, a lot of them don't. And you know who will take those? Me. So here's a whole one, and usually they're the breast ones. What I'm going to do is sous vide these things, because if you know anything, or if you've ever cooked one of these are not chickens. These things were not raised to get fat and to go on a dinner plate. These things were not out being raised that way. They're out eating grasshoppers. They're eating corn that falls on the ground. They're eating things, and they're running around. So consequently, they're a very lean bird. You'd be lean if you ate like grasshoppers and ran around a lot too. But the trade-off is you got a really delicious meat. Even though this looks dark, that is far from dark meat like you'd find on a duck. This is lean, and you got to be careful with it, because if you overcook it, you will dry it out. Enter secret weapon in the form of science. You cook them in there, and I can bring them to a lower temperature, shred them up, incidentally make sure all the shots out of these things, because yes, that's how you get them. You don't catch them, you shoot them dead. And then you can take all the stuff out of it, because you shred the meat up. The other nice thing is, if you've ever had one of these that your grandma made, that's the leg. These things are tough as hell. You know why? Because they run all over. Your legs would be tough as hell if you literally ran all over. So anyway, enough yik-yak about pheasant hunting, but this one I need to cut up. Poultry shears. These aren't kitchen shears, these are poultry shears. See that edge? That's serrated. They aren't terribly sharp, but you got a lot of leverage right here. Don't play around with these things. Don't stick your finger in there. I may not be able to cut tissue paper with these things, but I can cut your damn thumb off real quick, and it's gonna hurt. So here's what we're gonna do. Find the thigh, bend it until you hear that pop. Cut her out. And then you can just work right around that ball joint. Ta-da! Here's the other one. The other one's kind of pre-broke. These things get busted up a little bit. Getting these things in there is pretty. And sometimes the dogs really do a number on them. If you ever cleaned a pheasant, you'll understand what a hard-mouthed dog is. Because there's a few out there that are just, yeah. You learn real quick when you pheasant hunt not to talk about other people's dogs. You're just better off not. Keep in mind, everybody's got guns. All very safe, but still, you don't need to be yik-yakking with somebody else's gun. Ooh, shot! Look at that. I don't think you can see it. But there's a BB right there. That appears to be a piece of probably 6 shot, maybe 5. Isn't it amazing how I know these things? Hey, here's a pro tip too, folks. No matter what you do, keep that thing out of your garbage disposal. Trust me, a piece of small lead or steel shot in your garbage disposal will drive you nuts for months until you find the damn thing. Keep those out of there at all cost. If you find a piece of shot, take it immediately to the garbage and put it in there. You'll be glad you did. I'm cutting the backbone. Here's the breast. I'm going to cut right along here and get up to that joint kind of in here where the wing connects, or used to. See the ribs? I want to get in there and get those. I'm going to try it. There we go. I'm just going to save these for stock. You know what? They'll be fine. They're poultry. We're up to temp. So now I'm going to take that. It's nice to keep some paper towel nearby. If you see a feather, yeah, they're in the little, you get a little of that in there too. But you can put those in there. And then I'm just going to cut right through the breastbone, right along that keel bone, where that piece of cartilage is in the breast. Again, you don't have to be real pretty about this, because I'm not serving this to the King of England here. So we're going to be okay. Look, not the prettiest, but then what we're going to do, wash my hands a little bit. Good thing to do when you're working with poultry. House seasoning, little Tony Sashers. We're going to lay this on there kind of light. Kind of light. Don't need to over season this, because we're going to season it a lot more later. Grab a bag. I'm going to drop these in. And just put them in here all nice. These bags, by the way, if you own a sous vide machine, you can pick them up now fairly cheap. This used to be, when people started cooking this thing, I don't know who the hell thought this up. You're gonna say the French, but you know, I've never read the old classic manuals and cookbooks, but like Gastronomie Russe or whatever it is. But I'm pretty sure that there was nobody running around with vacuum sealers and precision immersion circulators back yonder then. So I'm going to put them in here, and I'm not going to overcrowd it. And I'm going to put that right there. Drop the lid. I'm going to change that to that, and I'm going to vacuum seal that. These things are really handy. If you can vacuum seal, you're going to get a little extra life out of anything you put in the freezer. It just, I don't know what it is, but having that air out of that bag, it's science, I know that, but having that air out of that bag really makes a big difference. And voila, I've got a good seal, I've got a vacuum in there, and that is perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop those in probably pretty soon. They can easily sit in there a couple hours. I'll go to mass at 9. And those can sit in there for a couple of hours. No problem. They're not going to get overdone. They're not going to get any more done than they are. You don't want to sous vide too long, because it can kind of screw with your texture of your stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna put these in, and then I'm gonna get ready, and I'm gonna do what I want for a while. And I'm gonna come home, and I'm gonna take them out, and I'm gonna let them cool a bit. And I'm probably just gonna leave them in the damn bags and chuck them in the fridge, because I'm gonna use them to make soup tomorrow. And I'll just tear that meat up, take out any more shot pellets that I find, take out any little feathers that I find, and we're good. I'll have nice shredded up stuff, and I'm only taking this to 140 degrees. Again, it's gonna come up once it's cooked. It's gonna heat up again in the soup. I'm not suggesting you should par cook your chicken. That's not a good idea, I don't think. But if you can get it to that temperature, you've got a running start at keeping it nice and moist and good for your meal. I've done this to make pheasant pot pie and a lot of other great things. I think it's a great way to use the pheasant if you're not going to make the traditional, pheasant casserole with can of crema something, and that. We're gonna have a real special pheasant one coming up soon. That's gonna be a real hoot. But I gotta lay my hands on some more of this stuff, and I will. Okay, everybody, it's Sunday. It's been a great week. It's been a long week. It's been a trying week. You can do this. Make yourself some dinner for some people you love. You'll feel better about it. Everybody take care. Play a train song. Rock on.